an introduction. I guess we could throw this up there. Thanks, Trent Clover, for joining us tonight.
Appreciate the invite. Look forward to the talk.
Oh, that made it look like you were Bob, little baby Bob, saying that. I don't know which one to use for this. Let's use this one.
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our daily gun show. Getting used to saying it again. We come to you live every weeknight at midnight Eastern, and we go talk about guns for an hour or so. And Mondays we talk about motivation, content creation, and those kind of topics. We're able to focus on these kind of things because our Patreons sponsor what we do. We don't put out stuff that's entertaining. We don't put out stuff that's particularly all that useful as like a consumer guide. For the most part, we put out some reference material on some of the collectible stuff that we've been around, just had over the years. But really, we focus on the community, the gun community in general, the Second Amendment activists in particular, but also firearms instructors, the industry itself, inventors, the firearms museums, a lot, firearms ranges whenever we can get to a shooting range. I've done tons of factory museum tours. I should just get a number of how many factory museum tours now, because I've never ever accumulated that, and I don't know why. But definitely interested in sharing what I've discovered as a lifetime of just exploring the gun community and industry. And then as a content creator since 2007, really 2004, I guess, when we first started putting up websites, but really putting up a lot, like almost full-time gun content creation and not even monitoring or doing the other stuff we were doing since 2007. And with that unique perspective, this podcast is to offer more than just a surface glance at guns as a hobby, but why people might be so passionate about guns or make a living off guns or feel so strongly about what the Second Amendment protects. So with no further ado, on Mondays we talk about motivation, we talk about the tech of creating content, and I've got CloverTac on, who has been mentor, coach, and enthusiast of YouTube channels and other platform channels. Well, as long as I know, I'm assuming you were before that as well, but what, since 17 or 16 or a while ago, whenever you started.
17 or so, yeah.
And then many years of doing the Thursday shows. We were kind of talking about that off here a little bit, where you would do workshops and different things to allow different new YouTube channels specifically to jump in and ask questions and learn. But beyond that, of course, being an active member of the Gun Channels community and participant in the events, the live things that we did, getting press passes, creating things, like not just attending things or participating or standing in line as a spectator at some organized event, but creating events that need to be organized and then organizing them and things in between. So with that experience over this, I don't want to say, I'm just going to say dynamic time, because it's a time that I think is just changing. There was a time before this and a time before that, and it was just different mediums and different speeds, but it was effectively the same thing. People who were reporting, people that were witnessing and archiving, and then creating some kind of content to get it around. I guess back in the day it was books and magazines and photographs and movies, and still a lot of stuff. There was radio, so there was people recording the audio versions of things. But now that we had the multimedia elements and the community elements and the consequences of that, the massive amount of events that have sprouted up, uh, and online and in real life. There's a lot to it. So taking all that into account, that's what we're going to chop into on Mondays. And I didn't even get into the tools, did I? The equipment or the software, or any of that stuff.
Right.
That's the kind of stuff we do on Mondays. Tonight, so as long as Clover's around and if people ask questions and be out there joining us, let's chat about content creation. Or should we focus it to YouTube? I think I did. I said YouTube. So let's focus it to YouTube content creation 2022.
Right. Yeah,
So,
I think YouTube is the safe bet. I mean, if we are truly interested as content creators with our message and our mission and everything else, getting out there to as many people as possible. I mean, it's not even debatable what platform you should be on, which is YouTube.
and I told Clover I would give them a chance here. I don't really have a script for sure, but even really an agenda for tonight, because ideally I'm going to be working on this kind of stuff every Monday going forward here for a bit. And sorry, I've been clicking on the things here. I'm trying to think, did I finish my thought there that I brought Clover in because you've had this focus on the content creator. And I'm sure that, I mean, to some extent, you must have been as interested or even more interested in all those things I mentioned that I've been interested in my whole life, because otherwise I don't think we'd hang out with each other. But because we don't have time for people that are just sitting in seats, right? I'd rather figure out, hey, you're sitting in spectator seats watching an event. That's neat. I've watched this like way too many times, so I'm not going to sit in the seats with you, but I'm going to start looking at the event and maybe talk to the promoter, and then maybe find out the history of this thing, and then find out if they happen in other states, and then find out what the motives are, right? Like there's just more to it when you've been there for your whole lifetime than just observing it, right? So with those kind of motivations or whatever, I guess bringing all that to the table, someone who's creating content 2022, that's still happening. I mean, we're seeing it. It's so fun. I mean, I think that's one of the best things YouTube. I'm assuming you're the same way. Seeing all these new people come in and go, oh, this is neat. Look what I can do. And then all I got to do is this and this and this. And it's like, I don't want to say it's easier, because it was super easy back in the day too. It just was clunkier and it was slower, I guess, but it was super easy. It's never been hard. It's just as easy, only because the things you can do are more elaborate. But I mean, there's just as many buttons and whistles, it seems like. Is that the way to say it? There's just many. The dashboard's the same. What you can accomplish with the dashboard's a little more fancy, but the dashboard hasn't gotten more complicated. It's just dumbed it down and made things that are complicated much more easy. For example, making a thumbnail, super easy nowadays. Back in the day, that was kind of a pain in the butt, and that's why you didn't see such fancy thumbnails back in the day.
Right.
Well,
yeah.
Anyway, I'll shut up. I'll let you chat here. And I was going to encourage people that are out here joining us this late. Thanks, first of all. And then also throw in any questions you might have for, again, content creation YouTubers 2022.
Well, a few things to unpack, I guess, on that. First of all, you talked about the Thursday night chats that used to happen, and of course, for anybody wondering, those are archived. And the easiest way probably to get those is to hop on the GunTuber Academy channel, when did I create that channel? I think September or so of last year, and really haven't done a whole lot with it in 2022, because obviously I've got the main channel, which is CloverTac, but that's the only two, to my knowledge, playlists over there. Was the After Hours, which was when that Thursday chat first started, and then it morphed into a different time slot that really couldn't be called After Hours, so named that the Studio. Now, as you go through those podcasts, one thing you hit on there talking about thumbnails makes me want to throw out this caveat that some of that stuff is no longer relevant. In the early days, we talked. In the early days, it sounds horrible that I say that, but when I say early days, we're talking 2 years ago, maybe 3. Keywords, tags was a big thing. SEO was a big thing, and now it's more so It all revolves around titles and thumbnails. So yes, that's where the majority of your focus, outside of obviously producing the best video you can, is going to be it's going to be those two things. Now, with that said, what do I mean by the best video you can? Obviously, video quality is super subjective. The quality could be in the information, could be in the, you know, entertaining a factor that you're entertaining as you're relaying that information. One marquee, one cornerstone thing with quality content will always be audio. You want as the best audio that you can possibly have. Viewers typically can overlook and put up with bad transitions, bad editing with the video, bad lighting, some things like that. But they want to be able to at least hear what's going on. It's very frustrating. And I know a lot of people out there as creators are viewers as well, right? And so just get in that mindset of creating, especially when you're starting out, creating what you like. Um, Speaking to uh, motivation and why people start a YouTube channel and put out videos and why they do what they do. Everybody has their own motives, their own goals, right? And what's interesting about what we might call this new breed of creators, the ones that have come on during the pandemic, is we're seeing some of the old school opportunists that simply started a channel. And what's frustrating, and if you're out there and you've got certain creators in your mind that you're already thinking about them, the people that are opportunistic, and that's pretty much they're out for themselves and they just took an opportunity with the pandemic. Sadly, those channels, subscriber count wise, grow faster than those that are putting out good quality information, especially in a positive manner and keeping everything fairly lighthearted and upbeat. Um, that type of channel is just going to be the latter. It's just going to be a slow burn. Um, the beautiful thing about getting serious about your craft, about learning the ins and outs of the platform, beyond any of the numbers, which is what a lot of the folks that'll come and go, the folks that are not respected among other creators, not respected among the firearm industry, certainly not respected. We were having that conversation backstage. In the Second Amendment community. And so for me, I want I want to have those connections. I want to have those avenues of networking, not just for my own personal use when I need certain things, when I have questions, when I need help, but also to be able to offer others that same thing. It's like, hey, oh, you need so and so. Well, this person is who you need to talk to about that, right? And then putting those folks in touch and making things happen behind the scenes. It all goes back to this idea about um, the mortar between the bricks or the bridges between the islands, right? We don't have to be a member of every single group out there. We don't have to all sit around the campfire and sing kumbaya. We don't all have to like the same thing or approach things from the same perspective or have um, potential solutions that are identical. We don't have to have that dynamic, but there does need to be a certain amount of communication and coordination between all of those things. And so um, I say that to get back to the opportunistic people. Is there a place in our community at large as creators for them? Yes, I think that there is. But this new breed of creators, by and large, the vast majority of them that I've seen come on during the pandemic have been um, very real, very raw, and they honestly break the mold and break the dynamic and break the recipe of what it means to be a YouTuber. Um, as you was pointing out earlier, I mean, I have coached a lot of other creators, helped a lot of other creators. I continue to do so, and I did not necessarily set out to do that. I set out to learn as much as I can to help me, and more so than to help me grow again and help me get those numbers, but to help me expand my context, right, and expand my brain trust, if you will. And in doing that, quickly realized that, with those connections, again, not in the firearm industry side of things like we were talking about earlier, the 2A side of things, like I spoke about a second ago, but within, the creator sphere itself, I was able to, I'm able to leverage those and utilize those, not just the things that I know, but uh, get answers to hopefully things that I don't. And I've become chastised by a few folks out there, and I understand it. I do sort of seem conceited. I had that happen the other day where somebody said, "Well, I think that YouTube works like this," and I'm like, "Well, I know YouTube works like this," and I don't remember the exact example of what we're talking about, but we were talking about something with milestones and numbers. It may have been the monetization threshold or the way things are promoted on YouTube or something along that lines. I can't remember now, but and I did. I had to apologize because I come off conceited, but I do. I'm not guessing at that. There's things that I do know, um, and when I say I absolutely 100% know this, then I know this. I know it's true. If it is speculation, if it is, consensus, then I will definitely listen to my language when I'm talking about stuff like that because, um, I will not claim that that's the definitive end all be all answer. But back to uh, the new creators, yeah, I've been blessed to see them come on board and be able to usher them in a way or usher's not the right word, or nurture is not the right word. Maybe encourage them would be the right wording, because they feel like they're seeing and dealing with the things that us um, creators, more veteran creators, and not veteran from a military stance, but from content creation, there's they come on board new, they start seeing new other channels and get aggravated that these other channels are maybe not in it for the same reasons they're in it, right? And so being able to explain that to them, being able to jump into live streams with some of these new channels, be able to interact with them in their videos, their community tabs, other things, help them out, explain a few things when they get frustrated. There's not a week that goes by, certainly, that I don't have some creator that posts a social media post, makes a video, does something to where they're frustrated with something that's going on YouTube. And, it's just being able to give them that peace of mind. But one of the things is that, look, we don't all have to get along. We don't all have to walk in lockstep, right? And I think that's important that the new breed coming in understand that because they are so much different than I think what we've seen in the past. And so I've ripped for a while now, but
Right.
go ahead.
No, go on. No, because that's actually what I was going to go into was basically. Well, I don't want to taint it. So what did you mean by they're so much different than the past? How you just ended it there?
Well, they're coming in from they really don't have, um, they certainly, the vast majority do not seem to have any type of nefarious reasoning behind
Oh, interesting.
starting their channel. I think they literally said, "Hey, I'm
Like it's
into
a MySpace.
firearms, and I'm gonna put this video up documenting my journey. Many of them are not the end all be all definitive resource on firearms. They don't have the knowledge and the background and the basis of a lot of creators like myself, like you, G, that are lifelong firearm owners and have read magazines and articles and books and everything else, absorbed all of this wealth of information. They may have only been into firearms the last year or two or three. They may only be into certain things. You've got a lot of these newer creators. Some of them never fired a shotgun. Some of them never fired a revolver. Some of them never fired, you name the caliber, right? And
Never been to an outdoor range, never been to an indoor range, never
right.
been shooting across water, never shot nothing, I guess you could say, hunted, I guess.
Yeah. And so
I mean, that's not hard. My whole life I've known people that didn't hunt. I mean, you don't hunt until you hunt, and then you go around meeting everybody who doesn't hunt. Very few people hunt in the world, but
right.
I mean, that's not what I'm saying anything. I'm just, that's another factor, another layer of what people divide.
Yeah, and to boil it down to one word, they're real. Where you get to a point, and I worry about this with every single video I put out. You get to a point to where the audience out there is looking, and it's like, okay, does this look real? And one of the things I refuse to do is read from a script. If I don't get all of the information in the video that I need to get into the video, so be it. If it's an editing nightmare, so be it. Because I want to be able to think in my head, okay, I need to cover X, Y, and Z, kick on a camera, and yeah, I may stumble over some words, so it may take me a couple of takes to get out what I'm saying. So I don't have an edit or a chop or a hard cut every 3 seconds. But it is off the cuff. I'm not reading or memorizing a script. And for a long time on YouTube, that seemed to be the way that it's went, right? And these folks are more, let's just turn on the camera. They're it's almost to their own detriment as far as the polished look of a channel goes with some of these creators, because
that's true.
They they pay no attention to thumbnails. They pay no attention to camera orientation. But that again, that plays back into the real, right? They're just kicking the camera on and doing their thing. It's like
I thought the other way around. I was going to say, I thought you were saying that they can have amazing thumbnails, amazing production value, and then they're sitting there going, I like guns, and if I had guns, I would show them to you. And you know what I'm saying? But like you look on the thumbnail, you look at the channel, you're like, whoa, what's going on here? And then it's like, oh, they need some time on the clock.
Right.
Like everybody. I mean, I'm just saying, like, I thought you were going the other way, that they have like amazing production, just not
some do.
Not anything to
some
talk
do.
about.
Some count them out of the gate, but very few do.
Well, I don't know about few, because it depends on what you're focused on, I guess. So, and that's one I'm going to jump in here because I've been making notes or whatever.
Well, I'm talking more about the gun tuber side of things for sure, and more. I'm thinking more the talking about Second Amendment issue side of things rather than the gun and gear review video type stuff. Those, even with a newer breed, those tend to be a little more polished. But you said you had some notes, so let's go.
Yeah, I was. Let me just take a second because I was showing this. I'm going to show this to Mark. I was playing with this a second ago. What happened? Oh, there we go. So this is. You've seen these black powder NAAs? Do you have one of these?
No, I do not have a black powder. No.
They're just black powder, right? So nipples in the back, smooth cylinders. That's why I own them, because I got to have smooth cylinders.
Oh, I've seen them. Yeah.
Right. So you load them from the front. So this is to snap on the front, ideally, and then it's supposed to be like a funnel type of situation, right? So this is first attempt. This gives you this way. If you got too much powder, too much pressure in there, it's going to let your powder falls right out of here, precisely. Or I'll fix that. But this part fits on pretty good. Problem is there's no way to index it, and there's a little bit of a thing there. So I need to put something in the center of this to deal with that, because it rocks a little bit, maybe a little bit more ledge. But that's what's neat about these 3D printers. So this is the same material as the bottle cap of a milk jug, but pretty good dimensions. It seems like it would probably work. I'm thinking a little bit taller, maybe, but and then maybe something that comes out of each of these to go into the top here to kind of let it lock in,
Yeah.
and then maybe a little bit more height, and then open these things up if I figure out how to do that. And then as I was dinking around, I figured out that look at this, it almost fits right there, just
Oh.
coincidentally or whatever.
Yeah.
So kind of neat. Anyway, so we'll take a second away from that and jump back to where I had some things here that I get that to do that, and then we can click on this. I don't know why you can't revert you back to where you were. Why you have to set it all up every time. Thanks, Canadians. So, but it is pretty decent software. This StreamYard is what I'm complaining about.
Yeah.
Let's see. So the community. So you said something about gun tubers. So gun tuber first, I guess. What are you thinking when you say gun tuber?
You know,
Is that like
to me,
specific,
I mean,
or-
no, I use GunTuber to encompass basically anybody that, firearm, and it could be review, or I mean, it's a catch-all. So it could be, review style, all the way over to, straight up 2A. I mean, if you're talking about firearms, whether you're talking about the tangible uh, item and the specifications on said item, or you're talking about the laws, regulations, legislation, whatever, uh, you know, around the freedom to exercise your rights with those firearms. And to me, it's all the same thing for me.
Okay, so still that's a definition, because some of the stuff I'm thinking of and some of the stuff that's been rubbing me, like if I was to go over to that dog, she's super fluffy, but her hair goes in the direction, right? And if I was to rub her the wrong way for a while, she would get pissed. And that's
Right.
how it is when I watch some of this stuff.
Right.
There's these channels now, and I can't tell if they're sophisticated YouTubers who are stepping aside from the publicity because they understand the system enough to know how to do this, or if they're being abused. But people will go grab whatever they want, literally whatever they want off of YouTube, slice it up. So imagine going to YouTube as if YouTube's the videos are like a bunch of sandwich breads,
Right.
loaves of breads. And then you go to these YouTube videos, you slice them, and then you just shuffle those slices almost randomly. Like literally, these look automated to me, like they're AI is making them, because the grammar is wrong. Like they're robots saying it. People aren't, and it's driving me nuts. But anyway, they take the videos, they slice them up. They take little slices of videos. In other words, let's say a video is about how to, blah blah blah, shooting a 1911, or looking at some PCC or long range, whatever the video is. They slice it up. They take a slice or two randomly from the video, which literally, if you think about any video you've seen, you could take a slice out of it and then say something over it, and it's not going to be, that noticeable that you're looking at over somebody else's shoulder or whatever. And they just make these horrible videos that are like, the 45 ACP is the caliber that won World War II, and the 45 ACP, and it's like, no one talks like that. We know this is a robot talking. What language wrote this? And if you're not in another language writing it, why are you hiding your voice? Not hiding, but why aren't you using your regular voice? Why aren't you narrating it? Is it because everyone knows your voice, kind of thing? But these videos, they say in them, like a bunch of it's just something like a portion of the video might not be our own. It might be confused with somebody else's. And if you're one of those people, then let us know and we'll remove it. And it's like, I don't know, they're making tens of thousands of views. So they're basically hitting whatever stats they need to. So they're hitting the machine, they're hitting the mechanism or whatever,
Right.
Hitting recipe, and they're getting in, I'm assuming, piles of money. I figure there's 2 or 3 reasons to do this. One is just to get a giant audience and then to post something heinous. So that's the nefarious reason. Let's say you're anti, or you're against the country, or you're trying to create strife. You create a massively giant pro-gun thing, and then you get out there in the middle of everywhere with these stats and all these followers and potentially comments and stuff that they could say, look at all these people that have loved this channel forever. And then they'll get up there and say just something heinous. And then they'll be like, look, all these people support heinous. So that's one thing. Like, why are we doing this? Like, how many channels do you really need to subscribe to? Subscribe to the ones you watch and leave the others hang, because, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not even helping them. So,
You don't actually have to subscribe to any, but I hear
That's what I'm
what you're
saying.
saying.
Yeah, you're really not helping anybody by subscribing them. So by subscribing
That's
to these channels that suck, you're just giving them this fake uh, accreditation or whatever. That's
right.
the nefarious thing. Otherwise, they're just making a pile of money, and that just annoys me because they're making that not from Google, they're making that from the advertisers, and that money could be going to valid content like Tony Simon or name anybody who's good. Like, you know what
Well,
I'm saying? They could be getting that advertising revenue. And then the third is just that they're uh, again, like just doing it to create an account, and then because the guns are easy or it's a recipe they know, and then when they want to click, 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 and now it's selling. It doesn't matter. It's click the topic over once it's a big channel, like one of those kind of scams.
yeah,
Grow it where you know it, and then move it to where you need it.
right.
So I don't know,
Well,
but either way, we're getting used as pawns in this system, and I don't. So I'm including those. I guess is what I'm getting at. I didn't really mean to rant about them for too long,
I
but
don't
just the
include
idea
those.
that
Yeah,
those are new channels also, and that's a new phenomenon. So I count them as like the new channels. But when you're saying YouTubers, obviously it sounds like from your definition, you're talking human beings that have an interest in being here. But again,
right.
there's also some other different ones, and that would be I'm gonna call them people that come along and they go, I want to work from home, and I've looked around, and a YouTube channel is the way to go, and blah blah blah. I'm either new to this or I'm used to it. Whatever their angle is, guns, YouTube channel, let's make some money. And sometimes they're interesting, but to me they're recipes and they're boring because unless the recipe is let me bring all my knowledge and unique point of view to the conversation and make my business, which that's what it's all about. Usually it's more like I'm brand new and I'm just learning, and I just found out that my favorite thing is the one I'm getting paid to look at, and it's really it used to be really obvious because everybody online was mostly gun owners. Now that people are not new gun owners, or now that people are new gun owners, they're not aware of these obvious, what do you call them, like snake oil salesmen? Is that the way to say
Right.
it? Like snake holster salesmen?
Right.
And then
Yeah.
it's obvious that some of them went to school for communications or marketing, whatever it's called nowadays, or got out of the military intelligence, where it's basically the same thing. And then,
Right.
like, what do we kind of know, or what's better yet? What do we get? What would be fun to learn? Because that's how you make a lot of money, is sharing your learning experience, which is valid. It's just when it's unscrupulous, when it's hidden agenda. Let's set this whole
Right.
thing up so that we can create relationships and all these products will be, what's that called, like product placed or whatever.
Right.
And
With
that's just getting that angle. There's also, I'm scared of the marketing angle of like, let's get into the community with the rah rah rah, we agree with everybody, whatever the choir's singing, I'm singing it. And then that, again, the nefarious at the end, I'm actually, you take off the mask, I've been Bloomberg the whole time. And that's always scary when everybody's just like, I agree with everything and I never complain and I'm here to agree with everybody. It's like in real life, like you're saying, like when people are real, like we don't always agree on everything, and that's how we're not real, or that we're not robots, or we're not whatever. So anyway, because there's a giant influx of new folks. So I guess I was asking you what your definition of GunTuber is, because when you did the GunTuber Academy, I guess my mind, I'm thinking of the age doesn't make a factor, like whatever you want to call, like different walk of life doesn't really make a factor, because it seemed to me like the people that had been in gun channels and around the YouTube gun community had kind of valued that idea of like different people coming together with this common interest and then sharing that with each other and then letting people participate. So I kind of assumed, you were thinking the kind of general gun channel type or whatever, but that's not like your college kid who's coming out and, either in the field or wants to be in the field, or your engineer type, maybe a manufacturer who's looking to have some kind of you know what I'm saying, like straight up brand conversation with end users or something like that. There's a lot. I don't know, go through every one of them, but the different ways that. Well, now we're seeing the lawyers. How much of this new gun channels? I mean, literally a portion of them are lawyer focused too, the legal focus.
Right.
Just like trainers, like how trainers proliferated. There was so many more of them over time. like the lawyers, we're going to see a lot more of that stuff, I'm sure.
Well, it's just broadening the niche, is all it really is. It's still the firearm niche.
Well, they're necessary, I suppose.
Speaking to the bot channels, or whatever you want to call those, I can tell you that YouTube folks do not like those types of channels. That it's called reused content. They actually have terminology and everything for that. And they do not like the whole reused content thing. I mean, and that can even go to even some of these channels that are like TikTok reaction channels, or one that they really don't like those channels. So, to sit and say they're making those channels are making a lot of money, we don't know that they are. We don't know that they're able to get monetized because, while they, looking at the numbers, they should have enough subscribers and watch times to meet that threshold. You have to go through the application and approval process, which actually goes through a multitude of human eyes. They don't just automatically turn your monetization on once you hit those thresholds. And so I got to think that, if you've got a whole channel that's that way, if you just put a one-off every now and then or something like that, it might not be such a big deal. But if you have a whole channel like that, then that could be problematic for your monetization. So, and even if you're monetized, that doesn't mean you're getting full monetization. We all know that there's the green icon, the yellow icon, the gray icon, and even the red icon, which is seldom seen, but it's out there. Talking about the dollar sign, the monetization icon.
Yeah, but again, I'm not too worried about that because we all know that that is just the YouTube side, and in a gun thing, like who cares? Because it's not going to be prime time monetization anyway, and that's why I'm skeptical, or I'm more skeptical that these things are growing. Because let's say you get, because here's the deal: these things aren't just empty videos. I don't want to go click on them because that gives awareness to them or whatever. But I don't look for them; they find me. They get recommended to me whenever I search the.
That's interesting. It's interesting you're even running into those. So I'm kind of it makes me curious, and that's a much longer chat in sort of a different, getting off down a different rabbit hole. But I've never seen any of the. I know what you're talking about, and the reason I know what you're talking about is because that exists in every niche on the platform.
Well, sure.
That type of video,
and it doesn't.
activity.
I don't care if it's happening with.
And I think that you may be seeing a noticeable increase because, as you pointed out so eloquently a minute ago, our niche is broadening. We're still one of the smallest niches on the platform, but we've got we were super small before, so we got plenty of room to grow type thing. And as I think as certain people that are opportunistic or whatever the case may be sees that, then they see opportunity there, obviously.
Yeah. So, and it's either, when we're talking about what we're talking about, it's either an individual or like a group that are doing it one at a time, or it's literally just some like software package that they calibrated to whatever comments or what should I say, categories, and it just starts creating content. Because this is literally just AI type of content. It's not saying anything at all. That's what's anyway. So the part that I don't care about the YouTube monetization part. The part where they make their money is if they sell a T-shirt on there or a hat or whatever it is. That when you get to a point where you're at 500,000 subs and 70,000 people are watching every video and 10,000 people or there's 10,000 comments to the video, you're getting enough attention that you can just say monetization turned off. I'm putting a T-shirt ad in my video, and YouTube goes, okay, thanks, and they do whatever they're going to do. And now you're making money selling these shirts or whatever. And what if it is something nefarious? I don't have to get into all the bad things, but it could be something dumb like, oh, well, let's sell a bunch of dummies, a bunch of dumb things. And then, haha, look how many people bought this thing. And now we've created, you know what I'm saying? Like just havoc or something. Or just somebody jumping in and leeching in. Again, I'd rather that strategy be used by a museum, right, who's in need of awareness, Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, just, I don't like the idea that we're just not aware of these dupes. Because here's the thing, it's like a 10-minute video and it's everybody else's video. And everybody's in there with, like I'm saying, like thousands and thousands of comments. And I'm like, what's going on here? There's people I know that have commented on these videos. So that means they're clicking on them because, you know, let's say, and there's stuff like 9mm versus 45. You know, they're like, what's the best hunting rifle? They're like, you know, is 9mm available on the shelves? It's these kind of videos. So people are clicking on them because they're on YouTube using it as a social platform. So when you're aware of how the whole thing works, right, you create a video that creates conversation in the chat, in the text, using whatever recipes create that. Lots of them will do that. You know, such as, are you finding 9mm at your stores? And then you have like a video where you go, 9mm is available at stores, and here's some 9mm on shelves at stores. And you know, people aren't really paying attention to the video or its quality or what it's even saying because they're scrolling through the comments. That's how some people use YouTube. And I don't know if it's just harvesting on that, but like I say, I'm just so skeptical of like why it's even happening. Because the worst part is, like I say, that because people are participating in the thing, then that's telling us that they're either not paying attention to the video and ignoring it, which is, you're allowed to. A lot of people mute the videos, for crying out loud. The other thing is they think that it's so and so, because sometimes it's obvious, like some dude who everybody knows is shooting, you know, like from his video or from her video.
Right.
You might think, oh, this is part of their, because you don't know anymore. There's networks. There's those. What's that thing with the octopus? The group of people that work together. There's these different associations and cliques and groups. So you might think, oh, this isn't their channel, but their videos in here and nobody cares. So, you know, this must just be okay. And you know what I mean? So I figure one of the two things is happening, but either way, what's accomplishing is they're making these huge channels and nobody is paying any attention to it, except for those of us who happen to be like, hey, wait a minute, that's so-and-so's video, and this sure as hell ain't their channel, and they wouldn't have said, go ahead and take a 9-second slice out of my video so that it looks like I'm endorsing this whole thing. Like, what is this? And then you go look at the description of the video, and it says, you know, some disclaimer like, these aren't all our videos, and if you got a problem with it, just let us know. And like I say, I'm just thinking, and what if it's just a crazy AI thing where they're scraping? You know, let's say it's just a marketing thing. Let's say it's 9mm. You know how nefarious they are. They need to sell their 9mm like crack, right? So they're going to put out a crazy fake video channel, and they're going to say 9mm versus 45, and they're going to hear all this hate about how 9mm sucks so bad, right? And they're going to use that to make better marketing for their horrible 9mm. And what if it's just that? But is that okay? Like that they're out there using the platform and getting all this? I guess. I mean, if they're not hurting anybody. But what if it is something that's horrible and it's like, oh yeah, we're just doing market research until Bloomberg pays us, and then guess what we got our fingers in, what our tentacle is in. Anyway, that's, I don't want to get, again, without giving out details, I guess I'm just describing a potentiality, really. But even if it's just the number of channels I've seen, maybe is 6 of these, maybe 10. I'm trying to remember, because sometimes I'll be like, how am I seeing this again? Like, I've blocked this channel. It shouldn't be showing up in my list anymore.
Right.
Or they change their names. That might be the thing too. Like, it's hard to know, because you can have channel, like I made a poor decision early in YouTube career, and then you're like, I want to change that name, right? And then you change it to something normal, and then it's still, what's the deal? You still have both names or something. So the one you change it to isn't really your name. It's just a changed name. So if you want to change it a third time, I think you can do that now. So it's possible that, let's say, Ripoff Gun Channel is the name of their fake channel, and they steal it from Bob over here, and they change the channel name to Ripoff Gun Channel, and they use it until it's worn out, and then they let go of Bob's channel, grab Ozzy's channel, and change the name to Ripoff Gun Channel. So from our side, it looks like Ripoff Gun Channel is running around being terrible. In reality, it's going through other people's channels like tissues, right? Like wearing them out.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's lots of horrible stuff that could be happening, but that's the negative side, I guess. I don't know. I'll let you riff on that if you want, or if there's anything to bring up on that, but we don't have to harp on that all night or anything.
No, I think I've addressed everything that I was going to address, at least with those. When we get, when we talk about the real channels, though, one of the things that I think is, and honestly, that's where we need to be focusing. is on those. But um, the willingness to share. I mean, the generosity to you know extend the olive branch, to reach out, to collaborate, maybe in a menial sense, not in some grand sense, but is it's just something that I've seen become more and more prevalent as the firearms niche has grown, and especially over the last couple of years with the new creators. It's awesome to see. It's awesome to see people that are not in it for themselves. There's tons and tons of big channels that if you want any kind of advice from that channel, um, it's one of them. It's one of those situations. I mean, whether you're talking about a trainer or whether you're talking about whatever the case may be, um, advice and information, oftentimes um, is just a conversation away. But you've got some creators out there that are they're not willing to enter into and have those conversations. And I think the new breed coming in, I think they're appreciative of um, advice they get. I think they are more receptive to any advice that they get, and I think they actively seek out um, that advice and stuff too, which is
Well, I
pretty
don't know if
amazing
you're
to
getting
me.
back to that or if it's just getting adjacent to what I was thinking from what you were saying before. But
Yeah.
when you say that they're different today, I think that one of the things we had before was gun owners who were new to the internet. And then, oh, I'm new to YouTube and I'm new to streaming and I'm new to talking to people online. But what we had was guns, right? There was a couple of new to everything. You know what I mean? Like up until fairly recently, everybody was at least something into guns, and then usually the tech was the hiccup. And now there's more of at least maybe though it's been a slow whatever back and forth, but now it seems like they're comfortable with the tech. They don't even think about it. They're fluent with getting on and doing it. The streaming, the cameras, and that kind of stuff. I mean, they might take some advice on do this or the other way, or you know what I'm saying, like some little tech advice, but they're not like, what is the internet anyway? And what is this? And can I join the room? You don't hear that stuff anymore. Like, that kind of, so now, like you're saying, it's more different questions, but the, I guess, I don't know if I'm just saying stuff there, if that's a question to blend in then to the next part is maybe more of a question that something about what you were saying there made me think that, well, I don't think it's unique to the gun community that people are welcoming to new gun owners, right? Like, because I'm sure if you're a motorcycle driver or a cook or something, like you're going to be, well, you might just as well be welcoming to new people. That's just more of a, I think a lot of people are happy to see other people and enjoy what they enjoy. But I think it's YouTube versus Twitter versus some of these other platforms that are meaner or less able to have conversation. But in YouTube, it fosters the whole getting together and forming a community, where those other, I guess Facebook a little bit, but for at least compared to Twitter, Instagram, and these platforms where it's all just touch, 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 YouTube allows us to hang out. I guess Facebook's the other one, or is more like it also. But people that are on YouTube, I almost always have like a disinterest in Facebook, right? And that probably is a
Right.
comfort with video over, because we don't have anything multimedia over here like that. It's plain old video, some text chat, and that's it. Leave if you don't like it. Facebook's got images and little blippy things, stores, calendars, like text private messages. Like Facebook, I can't deal, and I like stuff. I enjoy all the fun things that the internet can do. Facebook is like the everything omelet of everything always. Like it's the
Right.
everything pizza, it's the everything omelet, and I don't like everything all the time. I like some things that the internet can do. So YouTube seems to be like a good mix of like, hey, let's hang out and use the tech, but not have to be so involved in the tech that we, I just thought of something that's taken off track, but not so involved in the tech that's got to be a part of my hobby. It does, I guess, but it's like 30% on YouTube, where I suspect on Facebook it's more like 40-50%. And on Twitter, it's probably more like 30%. Instagram, it's probably 10%, because you don't really need to know how to use Instagram. You figure it out in 2 seconds, and then you just look at somebody's picture. There's no real interaction other than I liked it or not, right? So on YouTube, I guess that's the question. Is it because we're on YouTube that we've got this like layer of interactivity or community that kind of pools here, or shows up here?
No, I mean, yeah, I think it is. I mean, people are predominantly platform centric, and YouTube offers a little bit of the social media aspect, but a whole lot of visual, and so and it's also a whole lot of visual in multiple ways. So you have the fleeting now, which is fleeting visual, which is the shorts. You have the archival, I guess you could call it, visual, which would be produced videos, and then you have the interactive video, which would be like this live stream, right? So you're talking about really visual centric people. And then the comments are their social media. The community tabs are their social media, that sort of thing. And YouTube is also one of them that you start diving into analytics of a channel and looking at various niches and certain age demographics and other things. YouTube is by far the most diverse. Like the younger crowd does not use Facebook does not have a younger crowd, a presence for that. And that's one of the reasons that was slipping big time. And that's one of the reasons they acquired Instagram. And I know we're getting away from YouTube here a little bit, but that's one of the reasons that they acquired Instagram. But then you got to look at the things like Snapchat and even Twitter to a certain extent. Twitter is used a lot by the more affluent, whereas Facebook is used more by like the common man type thing. So, you've got all these different demographics,
Well,
and I see YouTube in a unique position compared to any of the other platforms, because it is more of a melting pot over here as far as the
is
demographics
YouTube
go.
the magazine and Twitter is the newspaper and Facebook is the yellow pages? I'm just trying to think of because I don't think people go to hey, I need to figure out how to change my tire. I'm gonna go to Facebook.
No, they don't.
That can happen over there, but you don't do it. And when you were saying people choose, I don't think people that I know choose to go to Facebook as much as they have to because of their work or their clubs or their friends are on it.
Right.
And it's one of those I can't because of they don't, and they can't because of they don't kind of thing. And like you say, until somebody decides, oh, we're leaving our Facebook alone, they're going to have to be stuck there. And then I was going to say with Twitter, before you said that, what I was thinking was something about how you said about the comments, like the comments are people on YouTube's, that's our social media platform, or somehow the way you said it, but better than that. But something about when you're on YouTube and you're leaving a comment, that's like hanging out at the bar or something, right? And having a conversation with somebody. You're not necessarily archiving them. I mean, technically it's on the internet forever, but any of us that chat more than 15 minutes a day, there's just a lot of that out there. So technically they can try to use some of that against us, but nobody's gonna be able to find it all. You know what I mean? Like we chat a lot. So we're throwing that stuff away. Technically it's on the internet, but we're throwing it away. And Twitter is more like, look what I said. Hey, everybody, look what I said. And they're only saying however many words it is or whatever. And they're saying it back and forth at each other. And these are people that read everything. Every once in a while there's a picture, but so that they can write words on it. And then it's all about putting it on your feed and going, look at what I said. So isn't it, maybe it's you were thinking of it more from I don't know if you were saying class or what, but I'm thinking it's more of the people who need to, I've got the hiccups, the people that need to have their comments attributed to them in a feed. like imagine YouTube doesn't have anything like that. You can't go, hey, I like the way this, I like how witty Ozzy is being out there tonight. I'm going to go to Ozzy's channel and just see all of the witty stuff he said in chats. Like they could do that, but they don't do that on YouTube. The best you could do is try to write it down yourself or something. Google Plus was kind of like that, or whatever it was called. G Plus was kind of like that. But is that one of the differences? Like Twitter, like people over here are more like, hey, let's just have a conversation, and tomorrow we'll have another conversation, and if we need to write something down, we can. But we're here for the moment. And some of these other platforms are, well, I shouldn't say that because they're also not like people are looking anything up on Twitter.
Yeah.
Aside to say, oh, look, he said something 2 weeks ago that's different than what he said yesterday.
Well,
or
Twitter
last
is not. Twitter, by and large, is not archival, right? The same as Instagram, by and large, is not archival. You don't get people that, obviously YouTube, second largest search engine in the world behind Google, which is, the largest. And then, technically YouTube is even a part of Google, and it's interwoven and oh my gosh, whatever parts of the same bird or whatever. So Facebook is fairly archival. So yeah, you have people that like that, like those certain dynamics. Like you can search things on Facebook, like the marketplace, for example, or whatever. But you're right in that what you can search for, um, you're not going to be able to search for how to do something necessarily. And YouTube, you are able to do that. But with YouTube, you are also able to search for entertainment style things and all of that. So it's more archival than, let's say, a Twitter or an Instagram, because those are like flowing feeds all the time. And I think people go mostly to go to see, hey, what's going on right now, right? It's like, hey, what's happening? What are people talking about, or what are people
or how are they reacting
saying,
right
or
now, whatever just happened?
Right? Yeah, yeah. And
So
yeah.
Well, just keep going. So then I think we covered a bunch of the ones I had starred here from me. But dang it, I just was going to say, I think I just came up with something else. Oh, as far as, and this just to throw it, palate cleanser out there, come at it from a different angle. We're about an hour. Let me know how you're at with time and how everybody out there, if they've got any questions. Somebody's really throwing stuff too much.
Well, I'm probably going to want to bail here in just a few minutes. It's getting midnight here, and I got to get up early. And
yeah, right on. So then let me
mess.
throw it out this way, even though this isn't a big thriller question or nothing. Are you experiencing channels in 2022 on YouTube where YouTube is it, or is it, I've got a whole bunch of stuff going and YouTube is one of my tentacles or one of my pieces of the pie?
So there's a lot of channels that I see, and I don't know if are we talking strictly gun tubers, or are we talking period? Because you're talking with somebody in me that hangs out in a lot of different places, not just the gun community. So here, so
I left it to YouTubers or to content creators, I think, but I'm only aware of really YouTubers. But go ahead.
Right. The majority of creators that are on YouTubers are absolute YouTube centric, for the most part, with a dash.
Wide, not just guns everywhere. They're almost always just one platform.
With a dash, right? If there's any kind of seasoning on top, so I mean, look at it as a, whatever. Look at it as a steak. Occasionally there's you throw a little bit of seasoning on top, right? It's like, but the meat is the meat, which would be YouTube. But occasionally there might be a dash of Twitter and or Instagram. But with the especially with the lowering of the qualification for the community tab on YouTube, and some other work that's being done behind the scenes to bolster that. We have picture polls now. If you're using YouTube on mobile, for example, you can do picture polls in your community tab, not just words. And so,
On your
um,
mobile, you have to do that?
yeah, I've never found a way. I haven't found a way to do it through the browser, but you can get to it through the mobile app. You can do that. It's an option. So with what I'm saying is with the community feed, you're starting to see um, a little bit of the Twitter element where it's that back and forth conversation that's not in under the comments of a video. And then you're also seeing the ability to post fleeting random pictures and things like that um, into your feed. And so I do see, for example, when we made the Tulsa show here a few weeks back, uh, obviously, the service was a horrible error and other things, which was I think was an anomaly for the time, but couldn't really do a whole lot, but I could post some pictures at least. And so I would post Instagram, and whenever I post something to Instagram, that saves in a thing on my phone, and then I'm able to turn around and upload that to the community tab on YouTube. So in effect, um, the I can do pretty much what I do on Instagram here in the community tab on YouTube. So, yeah, they've lowered the requirements for that to 500 subscribers, and they would not be doing that if it weren't for a reason. They've seen that it was working, and it is a really good feature to have. It's a benefit to a channel to use that. It's to their benefit to use that. Um, and so, yeah, I mean, that's like I said, the only thing lacking, and you brought it up earlier when you were talking about the bot channels and potentially having a shirt store and all that. There are merchandising tools. There are various things in the studio, places I went and things I haven't even played with yet. There are beta programs that I've been blessed enough to be a part of, trying out new features that may roll out soon, and other things. So YouTube is still evolving, and I don't. It will never be a platform, I think, that can replace everything on Facebook. Um, Simply because Facebook has the actual marketplace. But you are able to now basically have a market on YouTube. It would just be a matter of being able to tie that together, them to tie that together somehow, and offer a click button, a tab that says, "See what your creators have for sale," or something along that lines, right? And it works kind of like when you have a shelf when you go to your homepage. If you curate your homepage, and as a viewer, I highly recommend that you go through, click on stuff, tell it I don't want to see this no more. Set it to watch later if you don't have time. If the thumbnail looks interesting, if the title looks interesting, set it to watch later at the very least, so that you can watch it later. That sort of thing. And um, curate that homepage. And if you do, I mean, one of the shelves on your homepage, every few times you hit the homepage anyway, is going to be some community tab post. So um, how long before we see a shelf with things that different creators have for sale, right? Whether that be through their Etsy store, or Spreadshirt, or whatever it might be. So
Do you have a store on your
ever
channel?
small. I do not. I'm pretty sure I don't meet the qualifications to do that yet.
So
Um,
what's bugging me is I
I would
just
have to
noticed this. If I go to, I'm on, oh no, I guess I'm still on my channel. So I'm going to go over here,
Mhm.
take your channel over here,
Right,
and flip over to Daily Gun Show. So now I'm on a different channel, right? I'm Daily Gun Show.
right. As viewing as them.
Right. So I'm going to go over here and now I'll refresh. And now I'm Daily Gun Show. And this will come up over here and show me that over on the right here. Computer's slow. Well, my internet's slow and my computer's slow, I guess. Wow. Look how long that took.
Did I hear a
Like,
modem? I think I hear a modem running. What's going on?
seriously. So now I'm logged in with that one. And now I'm going to go to my channel. And anyway, my store won't show up. It'll just be my normal tabs. So it gives me a store. If I go back here now, because you can see it's just videos, playlists, community channels, about.
Mm-hmm.
And then I go back over here and flip back over to my actual account. We'll see a store. But that's one of the things that's bugging me, that they do give us one, but I guess because it's beta or whatever, it's glitchy.
Right.
But then, I'm selling people like, hey, go to my store on my channel and blah, blah, blah. Realize, oh, there's no way for anybody to get to it except for me. I can go to it. So now here's my store. And then it gives me a direct connection to Spreadshop, I guess.
Right.
Which would be neat. And then, like, if I look at one of my videos on my own channel, then every time at the bottom of the video, click on the video, and then it'll have the little store display there. Mm-hmm. And that would be great. But it doesn't show up for anybody else, right? Like if I give people this link to this ammo collection video.
Yeah, I don't see your store when I
I just noticed that the other day. But that's one of those things where, like you say, like they have to evolve and get out of, because they didn't have anything like that for a long time.
Right.
And you have to qualify. So maybe I have it, but I lost a qualification tick or something, I don't know.
Yeah. I
don't want to keep you all night. So I guess I was asking if people were YouTube centric, and you were saying for the most part, people that are on YouTube are YouTube centric, mm-hmm. and kind of explaining some of the reasons. I guess kind of got off on the reasons of. I agree with you at the Facebook side, but also there's no community growing over here, so you can't like really run an organization off your YouTube channel. You can supplement an organization with a YouTube channel. You almost have to, right? But, or at least you should, but you really can't do anything with it except for have a community tab. I guess you could make everybody be members and then secretly talk to them on a lame community tab. We get maybe 10 times the functionality, or at least 5 times the functionality over at Patreon and other platforms. Are attempting to.
Well, and you're not giving up 40% as well.
Well, I guess that's another part. Yeah, if you had a membership that you're really just trying to keep in touch with, having a need to pay for YouTube is another burden when there's free options.
Right.
But anyway, we're getting a little bit off there because we were chatting mostly tonight about content creators, YouTubers in 2022, focus on the Second Amendment or gun-related ones. And there's a lot. We definitely did not mention anybody in particular, only because this freeform show without a script, and it's late for Clover. I'm normally up this late. For me, it's like 10 o'clock. But Clover's up late, and I didn't really say anything except, hey, you want to talk about YouTubers? So
it's been a good conversation, though, for what it was worth.
Yeah, well, I'm going to have Night Strike on, or Mike on next week to talk about GunTube, where it's been and going. And then I may have some others on specifically for things, but I would like to have you back on at some point on this Monday show, at least, for more on this, because we really scratched the surface. And as time goes on, we may have something that's worth actually a direction to go in. And since you don't have that Thursday show, I know that you probably have some amount of itch that you want to scratch with this stuff. And as things come up, the whole point of this Monday show is to motivate people. And the way you do that is you let them know that it's possible, right? Like, hey, it's super easy. And to inspire them that, hey, you don't have to do it the way some sucker did it. We got way better things coming. And I can't even tell you about the conversations. I've had 3 amazing conversations in the last week, all of which have recharged my batteries. And I already knew we had some good stuff going, momentum-wise, but it's like somebody got a Evel Knievel motorcycle toy and just revved it. It's awesome.
Right.
But anyway, so yeah, appreciate you coming on, and I'll quit. Mona, do you have anything to plug, or you want
to? No, man. Have a good rest of your show and all that, and I'll catch everybody on the next one.
All right. I'm just going to jump out, and I'll meander as I wrap up then. So if anybody's got any questions or points or anything, as he said, if he jumps in again in a future show, anything that would be worth having from Clover's perspective, having him address. Otherwise, I didn't really want to get into. I know that he liked to do or for a while he was offering the service. I don't know if he liked doing it, but he did the kind of review people's channels for him. And when I kind of said the email, I thought, wait a minute, did I just ask him to review channels? So I didn't really want to do that, and only because I didn't have any idea what I wanted to do, and it didn't sound like he had any interest in doing that either. So that might be something to do, because if we were to both come up with a list of, let's say, 5 or 10 channels, not necessarily to scrutinize each one of them, but maybe the channel and then what it signifies or what it what it's an example of. That might be an interesting thing to do. Let's see. So I was just also going to take a look at his GunTuber Academy. Notice he doesn't even link to himself on there. He's got Ghost on there, Rogue, and me, and Top Shot, Chris, and Snob, and Obnoxious, and Gizzard, and C4. These 4 hang out with each other all the time and consider themselves, what do you call it? The Roost? No. The Hen? No. What am I trying? It's too late for me. The okay, I can't think of it. I don't know who One Shot TV is. And Fit and Fire, I've heard of. 2A EDU, got locked in Little Latinos. So if you're not subscribed to this channel, then, oh, wait a minute, the Daily Gun Show wasn't even subscribed to them. Now it is. So that's one of the best. It is probably the best 2A focused live conversation each week. There's better 2A shows, yeah, but they're not live. And the live stuff that's out there sucks butts compared to this show. It's way better, it's funner, and it's real. And it's focused on 2A almost exclusively, and then a little bit of what else is going on. Calaveras, G23, Foss, Night Strike, Barbecue, Mr. Big Kid, I don't know who that is, RTAC, Shooting Gallery. Interesting set. I think I would have added a couple. So let's go take a look at who Daily Gun Show is connected to now. We go to the channels. So one of the factors I use to determine a channel's value to the community is if it connects to other channels. Because if it doesn't, then it's, what the hell is the point of being on a platform? Go make your own website and just post your videos over there. So we've got the stuff that started it all, us, and then Bob. Dead Horse. I don't know how many people know Dead Horse. Show of hands. Dead Horse. People who know Dead Horse. Echo is out there. He's a good friend of Dead Horse. Clover, you might recognize that one. I do link to him on my channel. Gizzard, is this dude? Look at that. The Hens? Okay, thanks. I couldn't think of it. I'm also super, my mouth is super dry tonight. It's like the opposite of raining here. It's almost like we live in a desert. Got Barbecue on there, who rips off this show. Santee. Because of why? Because Santee's constantly got new channels on. She's literally would have been hanging out in gun channels, I'm pretty sure, back in the day. A great start. All right, she doesn't have a bunch of channels on, but she's doing good work, and she hangs out in a bunch of people's chats who don't deserve having regular people hang out in them. We got G23, live conversations all the time. Puts out links sometimes. Echo, basically doing the thing. AR, helping Echo, doing the thing. Dead Horse was like a 7. Echo hit the ground at like a 6 or maybe a 5, and then he's like an 8, 9, and AR together, it's like the Wonder Twins. Boom, they're like at a 9. Let's see. Then we got Travis. I don't really listen to that show, but on Saturdays he brings people in. Rick, Wednesdays and Saturdays. Mr. Knives is on here because he's freaking Lobby channel. That's where Lobbies came from Pink, and then Mr. Knives. Those two are gun channels right there. Night Strike has a little thing called GunTube out there. Ever heard of it? Then we got Tony because of the diversity shoot in real life, but also he hangs out in a pretty good diverse chunk of conversations out there. KD brings people together with train and learn like no other. The other things close to train and learn cost 10 times the price and are kind of exclusive, not just for money, but they're for people that are either in competition realm and looking to do specifically work for companies or female focused. And that's it. That's all we got. Oh, I guess you could say AmCon, and that means not the same thing at all. Polite Society podcast, who is AmCon basically, and whatever they call the Armed Radio Network, Armed something Network, and then Crump, who brings people on the regular. Ozzy, it's not the size of the channel. I just only put on the channels on Gun Channel or on the Daily Gun Show. I connected to channels that are doing live conversations, bringing community together. So I start hosting, and I'll be definitely putting you on there. I didn't do the standard. Just have a. These are the featured, by the way. This channel subscribes to a shit ton of people. The subscribed people is everybody. Pretty much everybody from gun channels. I'd be surprised if Ozzy isn't in this list. But that was list that we were looking at was the featured gun channels, which are, I've got the hiccups now, which are the ones that are, like I say, hosting conversations, or like Bob, I guess, who doesn't really host them, people that jump into the conversations. And then it have to be conversations that I'm aware of, right? Like that I know. I don't know some people, so I'm not going to post everybody in the world in here. So anyway, so that was just to wrap it up. New gun channels. We definitely have new ones coming. AR and Echo, kind of new to the scene. Santee, fairly new to the scene. New to us is, I don't know. Now I'm not going to say that. Crump, maybe? He's been around for a while, but he's kind of new to the scene, I'd say. But a Great Start Shooting School is definitely new to us. She's been doing her thing for quite a while. Just didn't know about it. And then, going back to Clover's. His are probably, where would I leave his thing? I guess I'll know his over here. No, I don't know where his is. His are probably people that he's featured on the channel or that have jumped into conversations with him. All right, so no, I got you. I just figured I'd clarify again that those aren't the subscriptions as much as the channels that I know of that are the new. And then I guess Pink and Knives, they're not new, they're old, but the new ones that are out there with the what do you call this? Like with the panel discussions? Maybe that's the way to say it. People that are shows that have a bunch of people on in a panel. And then I guess I had Night Strike on there as GunTube, but now I'm thinking about it. He also, doesn't he have people on with him for Hit or Miss? I never really watched that show that much. But I think he has people on that show with him sometimes, or most of the time. And I guess I could put the content creator formerly known as Budget Guns and Gear. He has people on Fridays. All right. Well, with that, I'm getting tired. So my goal was to focus on content creation. I guess I was kind of rambling before. I didn't want to let Clover get out of here, but the description of the Monday conversation is 2A new media methods and motivation. We talk behind the scenes of 2A media. Grab a camera, microphone, keyboards, or a phone, and join in the creation of 2A media online. We talk nuts and bolts, tips and tricks, using phones, camera, software, online platforms, as well as how to network, finance, and have fun with your 2A projects. So that's part of this, was to, as we get the season 2 or after the hiatus version of the Daily Gun Show going with episode 1286 here, the idea is to have these Mondays offer some assistance, right? Some help with whatever it might be that you're encountering as a content creator. As long as you're focused on 2A, I could give a shit if you're like making fondues or souping up your Honda or something. that's on you. But if you're trying to create 2A focused content, and I could care less also if you're just, reviewing revolvers or worrying about the grip angle of the newest Wonder 9, you can go figure that out from lots of people. But with content creation where stuff isn't going to be easy, and you're not going to get immediate positive feedback, and they're certainly not going to get any money in return, that can be tough to keep motivated. That can be tough to be inspired, and it can be tough to keep a grind. And not that it needs to be a grind, but it can be something to be difficult to be consistent with. So with Mondays, we're hoping to offer some insight to that. And I guess as we're getting back into that with this show, we talked a little bit about how the internet and computers work, that kind of thing. With this show, we'll talk about kind of bumping on, getting fast forwarding, I guess, all the way up to having content and sharing it. Being a content creator kind of assumes that you have created content, and it assumes that you have all the stuff you need to have done all that, and that maybe even you have that part covered. So that's assuming a lot, and it doesn't need to, and it really shouldn't. So any number of those things that people might have issues on, I'm more than happy to address on Mondays. I'm not going to spend my entire time doing it. I'm not going to spend a whole channel like Clover does, but Mondays for sure. We've got a lot of resources out there. So part of my goal is to address what might be needed, but also what's available. So knowing your resources is vital. And once you understand that each of us is looking for what our resources are, and we also understand we are resources to each other, right? You know what I'm saying? It all should kind of work out. And hopefully folks like I'm going to just keep using the DC project as an example. Those folks would have the resources needed through crowd efforting, so that they don't necessarily need to be rich, right? We don't need a Bloomberg. Let's crowd effort, or to some extent, crowd effort, right? Everybody pitches in and does what they're good at. And, somebody's good at making lemonade, and somebody's going to be good at building the barn, and they're going to be thirsty for lemonade. And when you put them two together, you got a community, right? So that's what the Monday stuff is all about. This was kind of getting in the rolling. We'll talk to Night Strike next week, right? And he'll give us an awesome idea of what's happening with GunTube. And then going forward, if you'd like to help steer the direction, feel free to leave some comments. Put them in here. It's great. And I see them. But when you put them in the regular comments, then they're there and I don't forget them, I guess. At least I can find them. Kind of mention that these comments are a type of social media that is both temporary and permanent. But for, I think, at least I don't have a photographic memory. When we're done saying stuff in here, it's gone. And I'm thinking about tomorrow. Anyway, so if you want to leave some comments on direction for the Monday show, please do. Leave them in the comments, in the rendered comments. Is that the way to say it? I think technically. Tomorrow's Tuesday, and we'll be focusing on 2A. I redid the Daily Gun Show channel. So if you head over there, Clover is all fancy, calls these things shelves. So the first shelf is always going to be what's live. I guess that's just the way they set it up. Second shelf is redundancy, I guess. So I have the live thing on the second shelf, which is useless. So I'll change that eventually. Then I have the first shelf here is Monday. That's today. Second shelf is Tuesday. Third shelf is Wednesday. Guess what? Next is Thursday, and then Friday. Then we got those channels we talked about, the featured ones. And then for Woods, if he's out there, I think he is. Here's the bacon buffet. These are all the channels, or all the shows, the episodes that have bacon on the thumbnails. A lot of channels won't do that for people. We do that kind of stuff. And then this one has all kinds of license plates on it. And then these are the subscriptions. These are the people that are used to and now participate in the conversation focused on Second Amendment here on the YouTube. And that's about all we changed over there. Oh, no, wait. What did I also change? I already talked about it. I changed that featured channels thing to reflect channels that are currently focusing on other channels and the conversation on guns, because anybody can talk to each other when they're just selling each other's holsters. And oh, sorry, not you, Ozzy, you know what I mean? the suckers selling the shitty holsters, not the handcrafted artisan works of workmanship, but the garbage holsters and the weird novelty stuff that suckers the new people in. The ones when they're all selling each other's stuff, or they're selling, I don't know, whatever's going to be next. They're going to 3D print something, or they're going to make something out of Kydex and bend it around with a heat gun and sell it, and everybody will say it's the next best, greatest thing. And aside from that kind of networking, the networking for the folks that don't get return on investment can, like I say, can be frustrating, can be difficult, and we'll attempt to offer some way through that. It's not going to change. It'll only get easier to deal with awareness and experience. All right, I'm done. Thanks everybody for showing up. And I don't know if that's a weird lag or what, but I don't know why everybody's saying we solved 2A. I don't think we solved it, but we're definitely in a good spot. I'm telling you, we are really in a good spot. This one conversation I had last Saturday, I was like, wait, maybe that was the one I was thinking of. The one on Saturday, I was like, wow, where'd that come from? And then, yeah, I guess it was Saturday night. Had a chat after, and then boom, DJ was there. He might not have experienced it or remember it because he was pretty loopy. But 2A leveled up on Saturday night. If you all felt a ripple in the force, as if 2A somehow got stronger and all of a sudden your rights were even more secure, that happened on Saturday night, on Sunday night. DJ asked what the last hour was. I don't know what you mean by that one. All right, well, with that, I will drop a link out there if anybody wants to jump in. But I need to get something to drink because I'm out of water here and I can barely keep my mouth from sticking to my teeth as I talk here. So thanks everybody for showing up. We'll be back tomorrow, and I gotta remember all these buttons is. Thank Clover again with that little thing there. Thank Voss doing stuff. And our Patreons. I mentioned our Patreons make it possible for us to do what we do over here. We got servers, 3 of them, cost money every single month. They like to be paid. Software on them, not a lot, but every once in a while that stuff costs $50 here, $25 there. It's like a kick in the nuts, kick in the teeth every once in a while. Patreons make it palatable. And then software like stupid Adobe, they expect to be paid every month also. And Patreons make it possible for us to use all that software, not to make commercials for garbage and crap, but instead for stupid Second Amendment crap and garbage. So we appreciate that. It's a lot of fun, and hopefully it's making a difference and making some signs for people that are coming along so that they've got some idea of what directions are the best to take or the worst to take or have been taken or have yet to be taken. And we'll be back with more of the same tomorrow. Thank you for supporting our projects. If you'd like to buy us a cup of coffee, check out our Patreon channel.
The guys and gals at gunwebsites.com encourage you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thank you for watching gunwebsites.com. Do 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 do.
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.